And if I might add, in 1986, the year my dad graduated, my parents made the best decision they had ever made and had me. As Stan introduced, my name is Matt Porter. I'm currently a graduate student and an employee here at Austin Grad. And though I recently made an exciting transition in my life, getting married and graduating college, for the most part, my story prior to Austin Grad is not atypical. It's actually quite ordinary. Yet, as I've learned through the story of God's people, from Abraham to Esther to Mary and the apostles, through the ordinary, God is able to work in extraordinary ways. After graduating high school in 2005 with success as a musician, I began college at Stephen F. Austin State University pursuing a degree in music. I had and still have a great passion for this field of study, and I was headed from there for a career as a music educator and performer. However, 2 years into the program, my enthusiasm for this particular career path had somewhat dwindled. I was still excited about studying music, but my future goals had begun to change. While at SFA, I became involved in both music and youth ministry at various area churches, and the summer after my second year, I worked as a youth ministry intern at Park Avenue Church of Christ in Denison, Texas. Due to my newfound interest, I spent the next year taking online classes and traveling to numerous churches and events, performing with a band, and spent much time in prayer as to my next step. I was introduced to Austin Grad by my dad, a graduate in '86, when the school was known as the Institute for Christian Studies. And I can still remember how he used to jokingly brag about how he finished at the top of his class, only making 1B in Dr. McNichol's third semester Greek. So in the spring of 2008, I visited the school, and I was immediately sold. From my first visit alone, I felt as though I was a part of a family. And having been in college before, I knew that this was rare. And it certainly helped in my decision-making process. But the thing that drew me most was the faithfulness of the staff and the faculty. They not only studied and taught the faith, but more importantly, they lived it. And James calls this being doers of the word, not merely hearers. And this was the deciding factor for me. As Stan stated earlier, I completed the bachelor program this past December, might I add with a 4.0, which quickly put an end to my dad's bragging.
I think I messed up on one of your grades.
But let me not linger, for if I may boast, let it be in the cross of our Lord Jesus Christ. Upon completion of the undergrad, I began my graduate work this semester, and my time at Austin Grad has been nothing short of my expectations. For the first time in my life, I look forward to going to class. Yes, even Greek. Most days. I remember my first class with Dr. Shipp, in which he remarked, "As you study to perhaps discover the meaning or answer to one question, 10 others will arise. In fact, if we are doing our job correctly, you will know less when you graduate from here than you do today." With this in mind, I would like to take just a brief moment to thank each professor for helping me know less and less. And as I continue in my studies, there's no telling what I will not know tomorrow. Through the in-depth study and teachings provided at Austin Grad, I have grown immensely in my understanding of the faith. Through the faithfulness of the staff and faculty, I have been shown how to translate this knowledge into daily living. Students are not taught what to think, but rather how to think, which I believe has a greater and more positive impact on us as students and the life of the church. Every course and each professor has made a definite and lasting impression on my understanding of the faith. From here, I plan to continue in my studies, perhaps someday pursuing work in library ministry. Wherever God leads me, it is my plan to, as Paul says in 1 Corinthians 10, do it all for the glory of God. And my goal to join Paul in knowing and proclaiming nothing other than Jesus Christ and Him crucified. I will finish with this example used by N.T. Wright. Many people today, particularly in this part of the country, are attempting to learn Spanish. Learning multiple languages is always a difficult task, though it seems to be much more strenuous for adults than for children. The struggles of learning vocabulary, the nuances of the grammar, how to form your tongue and mouth to make just the right sound, and so on, is certainly tedious, but the reward is great. Now, learning the language for use here is much different compared to using it in the native land. But with much time studying and practicing the tedious, one can eventually reach the final goal and receive the greatest compliment, to be mistaken as a native. The lessons learned at Austin Grad are oftentimes difficult and tedious, requiring much time, dedication, and study. But the reward is great, as ultimately our learning translates into action, and we too become doers of the word. And maybe, just maybe someday, we can be mistaken as natives. Thank you for your generosity and love for Austin Grad, and for your continued work in the kingdom. Grace and peace to all of you. Amen.